to feel this is their year. They must be playing defensive. Schmeichel's not coming up for this one. Thinks he's done enough. Is this their moment? It's a Sheringham and Solskjaer has won it! Manchester United have reached the promised land. Oli Solskjaer, 2 substitutes, have scored the 2 goals in stoppage time.
4,
And the treble looms large.
1.
Hello and welcome to the United Community Podcast. I'm your co-host Ricey and we're back for another podcast here this evening. There has been no sign of Jack yet. I'm trying to wait for him to come online after that 7.
I'm here.
He's in.
Dirtbag.
He is in.
Anyway, welcome everybody to the United Community Podcast, and this is going to be a tough one for me. This is going to be very tough. Look, obviously, United on the back of what can only be described as a embarrassing performance yesterday against Liverpool. United lose 7-0 at Anfield. So obviously we're going to talk about that, even though I don't want to, but we're going to have to. We take the rough with the smooth. Reality check for United. United ahead of schedule. We've talked even last week about Newcastle and how well they're doing in such a short period of time. But the United maybe fall into the same bracket. Mistakes made yesterday by Ten Hag. He hasn't got an awful lot wrong this season. But yesterday, what mistakes did he make? Bruno on the left, McTominay brought on. We'll discuss that as well. Should United panic or do they need to just bounce back as quick as possible? And we're also going to talk about Rashford and the fact that he has no goals now in 4. Now, look, technically he did score in the Carabao Cup final, but we know it was basically not on target. So we'll talk about Rashford as well. We'll also talk about Arsenal. They win again. Are they getting lucky or are they showing character? We'll talk about them. And Spurs do a Spurs again and lose to Wolves 1-0. And we're going to talk about Harry Kane specifically and whether or not he will stay at Spurs in the summer. But I suppose we'll kick it off with where else? I suppose Man United and the abysmal performance yesterday. I'm sick of talking about it. I'm sick of commenting on it. I'm getting, rightly so, an awful lot of stick online today. And Ricey, I know you didn't catch the was it the second half, but or the first half, but
I rewatched. We watched the first half. We were on traveling back from Dublin and watching the second half kind of on a bus online or streaming, but rewatched match of the day too there. So caught most of the important bits anyway. But
what did you make?
Yeah, sure. Look, really, where do you start? I was on a bus with lads having a few cans and there was jeering and sneering. There was great old banter between, well, not really coming back from the Man United fans. Like, they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it. Sure, some of the streams were probably a slight bit behind, so some lads were roaring and shouting as the scores were coming through on live score. But like, when there was four, they were shouting for 5. When there was 5, they were shouting for 6 and 7. You know, then they, like, I don't know where it stops. Started off. Man United definitely started the stronger of the two sides. Settled into the game quicker. Had a few chances. Bruno had a chance there to start. I wouldn't say a glaring chance, but that diving header across the box, we expected him to hit the target there. They had another kind of, I'd say more than a half chance, but a difficult chance. Rashford's one that came in over the top. I wouldn't think he thought he had as much time as he did. I'm not saying to take it down, but just maybe get a bit of a better connection from Shaw. Started very strong. Started well. Only 1-0 at half time, which I feel United would have taken a draw with that match before the game yesterday. They would have taken.
That's what annoyed me, I have to say, is that, you know, because Liverpool started really well. The first 15-20 minutes, it was all Liverpool. As you'd expect, you know, and Anfield are going to come out all guns blazing. But United dealt with it quite well, I thought, in the first half and settled into the game. And were probably the better team in the first half, I would say, overall. But just to give away such a silly goal at such a stupid time.
Yeah, I would think. I thought United were well up to the pace in the first half. It was the first goal, like absolutely excellent ball from Robertson. But like as for many of the goals, the United back four was all over the place. Right full had to come out to close down a man. Fred kind of dropped in, but Fred was kind of at sixes and sevens. He didn't know if he was to come out wide or close the space, and the ball was played in behind, and it was made look very easy by the oncoming Gakpo, and he came onto it at pace, turned back inside. He made the goal look very simple for what was an actual great goal. But what would you think kind of about the defending there, or for anything
I
on
wasn't
that?
happy with Varane in that situation. I won't lie. Now, I think it's a catalogue of errors out United in relation to the first goal, and I think it all starts with Anthony not tracking back on the right hand side, and because of that, Delors gets sucked forward, and then because of Delors getting sucked forward, Fred is filling in at the right back position, and he's not a right back. You know what I mean?
He's not even really filling in it. He's kind of like
he's just covering the space.
He's caught in no man's land kind of.
Yeah,
he doesn't know whether to come or go.
Yeah, well, if you look at it, just as the ball was being played, Fred takes a step out towards Gakpo.
Yeah.
And it just creates that extra little bit of space. And Andy Robertson, in fairness to him, picks out a really nice pass. But in saying that, I mean, Gakpo still has an awful lot to do from that position. You know, and you're going one-on-one against Varane. And you know it as a centre-back, you know, when your full-back is caught high up and you're coming out to close the lad down on the edge of the box, you show him the line. Show him the line, show him the line, show him the line. And Varane just allowed Gakpo so easily in on his right.
Well, I thought Varane almost showed Gakpo where to go.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, and I'm very surprised with Varane out of that.
Very good finish. Very good.
Yeah,
finish.
I was a very good finish, but I would be very disappointed if I was United's defence there.
Yeah, so even at half time, United went in there only one down. They were still well within the game, but then you come out and after 50 minutes, you're 3-0 down. Like, another catalogue of errors. The second goal, the amount 3, if not 4 errors laid up. First Shaw, then Weghorst lost possession. Casemiro couldn't retain possession. There was a lot of errors leading up to that goal, wasn't there? Like Shaw's infield pass to start it off was shocking.
Yeah, like it's the one thing I was saying at halftime yesterday was the one thing on our side coming out into the second half, being a goal down, is that Ten Hag always seems to get a reaction out of him in the second half. And I've been saying it I've said it a few times that it's taken Ten Hag in the dressing room too many times this season to kind of spark us into gear a little bit. So for that reason, I was quite confident in, you know, coming out in the second half, even being a goal behind, that, okay, right, we're nowhere near out of this game yet. But we just never came out of the dressing room. We just literally never came out of that dressing room. And 1 led to 2, led to 3, and all of a sudden it just imploded.
The counter-attack, I felt, really killed Manchester United, and who I personally felt had a very good game from what I seen of it for Liverpool was Jordan Henderson. Yeah. He hassled Harry, tackled everything. He started off 2 of the goals with counter-attacks by taking the ball in the box, in his own box, or just outside the box, and starting counters-attacks. The third goal was an unbelievable goal. Great run by Gakpo. Started off with Henderson passing out to him. He had a fantastic ball out right to Salah, who cut it back inside. That's when he put the butcher on his bum. And yeah, he kind of slipped as well, but you're tossing and turning. I know as a defender myself, you're always going to lay claim that you slipped, but like you slip because you're going left and right.
Oh, I understand that. I understand that. But I think if he didn't lose his footing, he would have stuck with Salah. Now, it was a lovely pass out of Salah in the end, but
yeah, but all that, if my mother or if my auntie had a yoke, should be my uncle. You know what I mean? Like, he did. Like, you, like, going from, I was looking at a few things earlier on, like Manchester United going from, like, your claim of best centre-back partnership in the Premier League, if not the world. I know now they haven't been the centre-back partnership for the whole season. They played selective games together and it's often chopped and changed. But Manchester United have the worst defensive record now in the top 10 in the Premier League. Sorry, second worst. The only team worse than them is Spurs with 36 goals conceded. Manchester United have 35 conceded. Like, things can turn very quickly from coming from a Carabao Cup win last week, which is great and great to get the first trophy in. And I'm by no means saying that Manchester United are back in the mud, but this is a very hard pill to swallow for Manchester United fans. It's going to be
Yeah,
for a
look,
long
and I
time.
mean, I think statistics can go one way or another, really, when it comes to, like you're mentioning, defensive performances there. Right. We shipped 6, we shipped 7, and we shipped 4 to Brentford. Like that's what's that? 17 goals. Now not making up any excuses for them, but you take that away. The goal difference is a lot different.
I know, but the matter of the fact is you don't take it away because that's why they're there. And I know what you're saying, hypothetically speaking, like that was a bad 3 games where you conceded a lot of them goals. The stats are easy to talk about when they're going your favour. When you're going well, you can talk of that record, how good it was or anything like that. But on the other end of the pitch, also going forward, the record isn't the best. You have a goal difference of 6. Arsenal have a goal difference of 34 and Manchester City have a goal difference of 41. Both teams have scored. Arsenal 18 more goals scored, City 25 more goals scored in the Premier League this season. And this is the kind of big boys where you want to be mixing it. 2 weeks ago, there was talk of a potential title challenge. I know you never really pressed that and you're just like, we're asking questions. Since Ten Hag came in, he's done a wonderful job and Manchester United have really progressed this season. As we spoke on last week's pod, they've progressed, I think, more so than any Manchester United fan would have expected. But is this a case of, since the start of the season, you've went 10 steps forward and now with that result, maybe 7 steps back?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I couldn't
No,
disagree
I'm just
with you.
putting a question to you. What way?
No, I understand. Yeah,
I'm
I
not
understand.
staying. I'm only saying, what way do you think of that now?
You have to realize where we were this time last year and how poison it was and how bad it was and how kind of there was just a sense of no future and, the Ranić era, and it's going to take 5 years before we're, even considering challenging for a title and this
Yeah.
and that. And I'm not saying we're challenging for a title because I've said it all the time that we're not. But from how far Ten Hag has brought us has been an unbelievable job. And just like I try not to get too carried away when we have really good performances and really good wins, I'm also going to try and not get too carried away with this one. We've lost 7-0. All we've done is dropped 3 points technically.
Yeah.
When you think about it that way, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I 100% agree where you're coming from there. And as we spoke on last week's pod, I think personally Ten Hag is doing a magnificent job. He brought in great players, brought in some leaders, and Casemiro all done a good job. So it's not like I'm a neutral here that has to kind of not kick United when they're down, but just lay into them a bit. You're obviously going to defend United, but you're going to talk realistic too. I'm just saying, is this a bit of a reality check? It's more than a reality check because you're after getting bet 7-0 to Liverpool. This is something that will still be talked about in 10 years. Nothing's won, nothing's lost because of that match. It's just bragging rights for a long time. Biggest victory.
Well, it is a reality check, but it's a reality check in the kind of things that we've been saying an awful lot. Now look, you have deluded fans for every single team.
Yeah.
But I've been saying it since the start of the season. We haven't got the depth in our squad. We really don't. We're over reliant on a certain amount of individual players. Varane and Martinez been brilliant for us this year, even though they shipped 7 goals yesterday.
Yeah.
Casemiro has been vital for us, and he was very poor yesterday. And we've been overly reliant on Rashford's goals. And it's a reality check in that sense where, we're not challenging for league titles because of these reasons, and I think to flip it on its head, I think you could nearly say the fact that we are where we are, given these, I suppose, shortcomings within the squad, is probably even a bigger achievement from Ten Hag. He just seems to be squeezing every last bit of juice out of this team and out of this squad. You know what I mean? So yeah, look, it is what it is, and I understand that. And I had the few of the Liverpool boys saying to me last night when we were having a pint, we're going to be talking about this in 10 years' time. And I said, that's fine. It's that if that's all you have to talk about in 10 years' time, then you're not going to have an enjoyable 10 years.
Yeah, well, look,
as
if that's
Liverpool
all they
fans.
have to talk about in 10 years' time, but if they win leagues and all in between, it's still going to be a thing that is talked about. Like it was just a drumming. What would you take now? What would you personally, the 5-0 in Old Trafford or the 7-0 yesterday?
I was
Which,
more upset. I was more upset with the 5-0 at Old Trafford last year. And
yeah,
I think the majority of United fans, and the sense I've gotten online about it over the last 24 hours, is the same as that, where the majority of United fans, not that they're not overly concerned about this, because they're devastated about it, and it's a fucking terrible, terrible way to lose to Liverpool. But I think, given the direction we're going in, given what Ten Hag is doing with us, given the standards that he's looking to set within the club, he's making all the right noises. He's bought really well. It's a work in progress. We're on a journey, and I would still, at this moment in time, prefer to be in United's shoe. If you would have offered me this position at the start of the season, today, where we would be today, on the day after, but you had to lose 7-0 to Liverpool,
I
would
don't
you
know.
take that, or
I
would
don't
you
know.
take
It's
where
very
they are?
easy. It's very easy. Take the moral high ground now here and say that. But if you were told at the start of the season you were going to lose 7-0 to Liverpool throughout the season, I don't think any Manchester United fan
Yeah,
would
but
have taken that.
if you would have said that, if you would have said, we will guarantee you a trophy, top 4, but you have to lose 7-0 to Liverpool at Anfield, I think the majority of United fans would have probably took it. You know what I mean?
Yes,
If
I'm
you
not
zoom
United
out,
fans. I'm not United fans, so that's hard to call. 7-0
yeah. But
to your
look,
biggest rivals.
if
Like,
you zoom out, and say, right, what's the overarching feeling about yesterday? Devastation. But let's look at the season. Let's look what we have left to do, and let's look at the direction we're going in. I think it's more positive than it is negative. Of course, yesterday was a negative, and it's going to be a negative for a long time. But I don't think especially the players, and I don't think Ten Hag will allow them to dwell on it too much. And it's all about just getting back on the horse now and looking to bounce back midweek against Betis in the Europa
yeah,
League.
and it's great. It's great to have a game so soon. It's great to even have a game in Old Trafford. You'll probably have close enough to a sold out Old Trafford. They're not going to jump on, geez, the manager's back or players back really by any means yet. If this was to fall into a sense of kind of like if things started going downwards from here, that'd obviously cause a few more problems. As I said, the trophy is great to have. Ten Hag is doing a fantastic job. It's just a bit of a setback. Going on their team lineup the other day, what did you think of that? Like what would you think of Wan-Bissaka, as you have called him, the best 1v1 defender in the world, not starting that game?
Yeah, and I mentioned it before the live yesterday, before kickoff. A couple of people were asking me in the chat, and I said it. I said, now we have to remember here now that before the game, no one had envisaged a 7-0 win to Liverpool.
No.
And United were going in on the back of some really good performances, and Liverpool, in fairness to them, the last few weeks have been putting together some good performances as well. But I certainly was going in there. I was going in confident, but I was going in there kind of with a bit of I was a bit wary going in, because look, we haven't won in Anfield in 7 years. But
exactly.
the one thing I would say is that the low over Wan-Bissaka for a left-hand sided player, if you're talking about Gakpo, that was playing there, hasn't been ripping up trees. You would have said, all right, we don't have to go overly defensive with Wan-Bissaka. We can look at the more attacking fullback in Delo and try and put the game to Liverpool. So
do you think that was a mistake from the off?
No, I don't think it's something. I don't think it's something anyone could have ever envisaged. You know what I mean?
But
I think go on.
Sorry, I'm just saying as stated, because it's an opinion, and it may be opinion of many. It's not an opinion of mine, but the fact you have Gakpo, who you say hasn't lit a light or lit the Premier League a light so far, shown glimpses, all right, but he's very fast. He likes to take on players. Liverpool are playing with a 3 up top. He's a physical player. He's fast. He's right-footed, isn't he? So he's obviously going to try and cut in from that left-hand side. Liverpool are obviously going to come out and try and attack when they're in Anfield playing their biggest rivals. And just to leave the best 1v1 defender in the world on the bench doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I know they're going out, United are going out confident in there, but you obviously have to go out there with an air of caution. As you said, 7 years without a win. I think there's 8 fixtures there. One was Europa League. I think Manchester United have scored 1 goal in Anfield in their last 8 appearances.
Yeah. Look, I understand that.
So I don't think they were going out there thinking that they were going to do a whole lot of attacking too much. I know this season is a lot more positive than previous seasons. Rashford is on the form of his life. Albeit he may not have scored in 4, he's still one of the most informed players in the world. And in my opinion, yesterday, he was Manchester United's best player. He didn't rip the world light, but he didn't give up trying. You can see what it means to him, and you can see.
But if you're talking about mistakes there yesterday, and we'll move on to it because we're going to talk about the mistakes that Ten Hag made. There's 2 big ones for me, and the first one is Bruno Fernandes on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Now, I know Bruno's played very well for us on the right-hand side, in previous weeks. And I do think he can do a job, in the wide position. But if you're going into a game like that with Rashford, one of the most informed players in Europe at the moment, and you're going up against a Trent Alexander-Arnold who, let's be honest here, is not a good defender. And has been, and there's a lot of pressure been put on him this season. I think it was a massive mistake out of Ten Hag. I think Bruno should have played centrally a lot sooner, and I thought Rashford should have played on the left. And I think the other big mistake was bringing on Scott McTominay in the second half at 3-0. And look, a lot of people know my opinions on Scott McTominay. I love his desire and his passion and all of that, but he's just not good enough. And you bring him on at 2-0. I think it was 2-0 when he came on. And
I'd say 3 because there was very little time between the second and third goal.
I think it could have been 3. But you bring him on at 3-0 down and you lose 7-0. Now, I'm not saying it's all his fault, but he comes on and within 10 minutes of him coming on, he has a yellow card. He's basically out of the game. Basically out of the game. He was like a rabbit caught in the headlights coming on.
I think that was almost Manchester United, and I'm not saying this literally, but kind of waving the white flag, as in they've admitted defeat at that time. If you're bringing on McTominay at 3-0, he's not coming on to change a game. He's coming on to try and defend the game. But I think, and I heard some pundits saying that Manchester United didn't even do that very professionally. Like they say, when you get to 3-4-0 against your biggest rivals, you try and keep it at that.
Ricey, I was going to say this to you.
4-0, I know a loss is a loss to Liverpool, but Jack, 4-0 is a hell of a lot better than 7-0. 7 just because it's a big score.
We've been in this position before. Like me and you have played centre back together before, and thankfully it hasn't happened to us an awful lot. Where you're 3-0 down, say for example, and the game is over. And what you do is you just get everyone around and you say, right lads, game is over. Just close up shop. You know what I mean? Stop attacking. Keep your fullbacks in tight. Keep your defensive midfielder in front of you, your 2 midfielders in front of you, and just say, right, that's it. We're not conceding any more goals. But it was just complete naivety out of United. And I don't think Ten Hag could really understand what was going on himself on the pitch, because there's only so much you can do. Like he showed his hand when he brought on Scott McTominay. He said, right, it's 3-0. Game is over. We're going defensive here. We're going to close up shop, expecting his team to do it. And they just never did it. You know what I mean? It was a schoolboy performance. I have to say, it was men against boys. And
I see Paul Scholes there not giving out. He's more staying. He was kind of had Bruno's back, which look, Bruno's after taking a lot of flack in the last 24 hours. Manchester United fans are going to have his back. You can't really murder him after one game, although he was acting the absolute prick. Like, he's a lad I seen a thing earlier on saying that he's hated by others. He's a very annoying player. But if he was put up for sale, you'd see rivals bid for him.
Yeah.
He's that kind of, he is a
good hate him until he's in your own team.
Yeah, but yesterday he was like, even when it came down to small things, like, I know he didn't batter the linesman or anything, but you can't even put your hand on a linesman like that. I know Sky Sports now was reported today that there's no FA aren't looking into it any further or anything like that, but very professional, unprofessional performance out of him. Didn't track back. He kind of gone to the linesman. He was constantly roaring. He was shouting abuse at his own players. He was throwing his hands up in the air. He was sulking. There was a couple of times when he lost possession, didn't track back. He did stupid fouls. I think one of the fouls, he just pushed. Who did he push in the back? Salah, was it, needlessly? Free kick was whipped in, cleared out to the right, and then Hendo whipped back in a lovely ball and Nunes finished a header. It was lazy. I wouldn't even call it defending. He was just then throwing up the hands, sulking. Like, he's the captain. He's the person that people look up to. He's done very well for Manchester United since he's signed for United. Would you like him now as your captain, or sorry, going forward from next season? Would you give an armband to Casemiro?
Yeah, I would.
Like, do you think Bruno is the man to lead? Some people, he's done well so far, but like, now you see is when the shit is kind of hitting the fan, and like, his head's in the bin yesterday. He's losing the plot left, right, and centre. Like, you can't be really doing that. As much as Maguire may not have been a great captain, he always gave 110%. I was reading Bruno didn't even come in for a post-match press conference. Maguire, to be fair to him, he mightn't have near the ability that Bruno has, different positions anyway, but Maguire mightn't have the ability to be a Manchester United captain. He always faced the music.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me because I like Bruno. I think he's a fantastic footballer. I don't like his petulance. I really don't. I don't like the arm waving, the failing injury, and
when he got slapped back.
I want to quash something straight away. He didn't look to come off.
Yeah, so no, I asked you that before. I couldn't find any proper footage of that. I see it on Twitter there, but I think that was caught on a fan's camera or something. So
yeah, so there was a picture. There was a video on the center circle when we were waiting to tip off after one of the goals, and we were making a substitution, but the fourth official was slow to put up the board with the number on it, and Bruno just puts his hands out like that, kind of saying, what's going on? Who's coming off? And people kind of took it as if he wanted to come off, which wasn't the case. I think there are better candidates for captain there than Bruno. Obviously, you have your Casemiro and your Varane are the two standouts.
Bruno's just kind of a bit whingy. Like, he kind of almost, in anger, not turns on his own players, but like, bickers, makes the hand gestures. Like, he doesn't seem like a lad that's going to instill a lot of confidence in a player. Not the player's confidence in Bruno's ability, but the player's confidence in their own ability.
Yeah.
Players make mistakes and he's tutting and he's like...
Yeah, but look, I mean...
And that happens. Some players have them traits, but I'm saying does, like, captain material.
Yeah, I mean, look, I watched the interview Rio Ferdinand done with him a couple of weeks ago, and he just demands an awful lot of everyone around him. And he says, look, I do throw my hands up there and I do sulk and I do whinge. He said, because I get frustrated. He said, I get frustrated if someone can do something better and they don't do it. And that's demand and standard. So you can take it. There's positives and negatives to both. We see him on the pitch with his hands up in the air and shouting at his teammates and stuff like that. But we don't know what he's saying either. He might... he might be doing this in training, demanding more kind of, I don't know. Just constantly
kind of, he has an aura of negativity about him on a pitch, like, class player, but just kind of gives off that bad vibe. Even things like when what's called centre-half, Liverpool centre-half there was carrying the ball out and just put his hand back, clearly hits him in the chest and he's going down holding his face. I know there was a similar thing there with Robertson done as well, so that works both ways, and that's a lot more than Manchester United and Liverpool. That's a lot of players in the Premier League. But it's something that, like, absolutely needless.
Yeah, it is needless. It is. I agree with you. And it's something that he does have to get out of his game. I think he's gotten a lot of it out of his game. I thought he's been a lot worse in previous seasons. But look, I mean, Jesus, losing 7-0, I'd be throwing my hands up in the air. You know what I mean? I'd be giving out. I'd be shouting at lads.
Yeah, but like it's deflecting. What I'm saying is anybody can do that. I can do that on a football pitch, and people can do that to me. But it's not standing up for his own faults. It's you never see him apologizing to someone or saying my bad. You know, he's always deflecting a blame. He was probably Manchester United's worst player on the pitch yesterday. Well, look, there could be a few in that bracket.
No, he was. I agree with
And-
you. But he's been one of our best players this season.
Yeah, I'm just saying, as we were talking, this is when the shit hits the fan. This is where this comes out. This can be all hidden over. You've had a great season so far, and this can kind of all be put on a back burner because you win 3-0. Like Bruno's antics aren't the main talking point. It's just that he is such a big player for you that's why it's such a big talking point, because there was so many different issues yesterday during the game. And the one that bothered me the most, wouldn't even bother me the most, the shouting and the throwing the hands up or anything like that, because that's different personalities. They're professional footballers on a lot of money. You should be able to take criticism anyway. But it's the lack of effort. You're playing for Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world, on probably 200,000-300,000 a week, playing your biggest rivals in a sold-out stadium. You're getting tonked and you're not even chasing a fella back. There's millions in the world watching this and you're not even chasing a fella back. The easiest thing I ever say to anybody I play with or anything like that is the easiest thing to do when you go onto a pitch is give 110%.
Yeah.
You don't have to be technically the best player. Just give everything you have.
Yeah.
And nobody can complain then.
Yeah, I agree.
Look at Rashford yesterday, just ran his socks off, constantly moved around, wasn't moaning, and he was United's best player on the pitch.
Yeah. No, I agree. So where do United go from here, Ricey? Is it time to panic? Do they just knuckle down?
I wouldn't.
Try and bounce back as quick as possible?
I wouldn't think so. And if it sounds like I'm going in them very much, that's just because it's such an outrageous, extraordinary result.
Yeah.
But United's best thing for United is that they have Betis at home Thursday night, as I said, in front of a packed Old Trafford. Get a win here, a win at the weekend. Like, as we said, Poole aren't too far off United. I think they're a couple of points. Was it 7 points behind?
They're 7 points off now, yeah.
7 points behind. I think what are they off top 4? If they win their 2 games in hand, are they in top 4?
I think so. Yeah,
so, it can just show the difference of between United, who are having a great finish after a slow start, and Liverpool are a great season after a slow start. Liverpool are having a terrible season, but there's very little between them at the minute. Now, United still are looking to be the better team, and Liverpool have tough fixtures coming up. Manchester United have nice fixtures coming up. I see they have Southampton at home, Newcastle away will be tough. Then they've Brentford at home, Everton at home, Forest away. Out of them 15 points, you'd be looking to pick up 12, 13 points there, I'd be thinking, and you're still well up in that mix. Your objective for this season is still well on course. You picked up a trophy. You're in the top 4. You're still fighting for everything you were there for. Realistically, not the Premier League anymore, but you're still thereabouts. It's just a tough pill to swallow because they're your biggest rivals, but time is a great healer, and that's what will get Manchester United over this.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, it's going to take some amount of time to go over this. Anyway, let's move it on. We're going to talk about Arsenal. Obviously, they had another good win on the weekend, a 98-minute winner against Bournemouth. I have to say, obviously, people know my thoughts on Arsenal. I felt so bad for Bournemouth they worked so hard and defended for so long. But Arsenal got the job done. Are they getting lucky? Or are they showing character?
Yeah, look, we've kind of have, I won't say argument. There is a certain amount of luck in everything, in every aspect of life. You see when Leicester City got through to their title run, I won't compare Arsenal to theirs because I personally think Arsenal have built more of a structure than Leicester had at the time. But you kind of make your own luck too, and I think Arsenal pressed, and you may say they were lucky, but back when the great Manchester United teams of the past and all were scoring late winners and all, you would have never said they were lucky. There might be an aspect of luck involved, but like they're pressing. You have to give them credit for the late wins they're getting these days. Like they're scoring in Fergie time, getting their winners in Fergie time. You mightn't want to see it. You mightn't like it. But it's the reality, and the table doesn't lie. Arsenal fully deserve to be where Arsenal are. A league table doesn't lie.
No, it doesn't.
Now, there's
I
still
have to say
plenty to play for, but they're 2/3 of the way through the season now, and they're still ahead, and they've kind of got a bit of luck, as in maybe when they've slipped up, City have slipped up also.
Yeah.
And they've a couple of big wins under their belt, but look, they're still up there.
Yeah, they are. No, I have to give them credit. I won't lie. They're grinding out results. I have to agree with you in relation to the luck aspect. You do make your own luck, and I think they had an astronomical amount of attempts on goal against Bournemouth on the weekend. The one I'm not going to say worry, because it doesn't worry me, but the one issue, or the one worry I would have, let's say if I was an Arsenal fan, is the fact that they're shipping goals. And they're shipping, like, they conceded 2 to Bournemouth. They conceded 2 to Villa as well, I think. Let me see.
Well, I can get it up here. 1 sec. I can just
results.
get up the last few games.
Yeah, so 2 against Bournemouth, 2 against Villa, 3 against City, 1 against Brentford, 1 against Everton.
Yeah, and I actually kind of noticed it in that Fantasy Premier League that they have their defenders are kind of dropping points.
Yeah, they're not getting clean sheets.
Yeah, they had a lot of clean sheets there towards the start of the season. But look, Jack, you know yourself, like, to be fair to him, and like for you as a United fan, I wouldn't dwell too much on that yesterday. You have to try leave it in the past, like anything. But Arsenal, they had a few bad results. They had that little mucky spell that me and you said that would come during the season when they lost to Everton, drew at Brentford, lost to City, but they've put back to back victories together since. Like, they're doing all they can there. And I
have to give Arteta credit. He's doing a phenomenal job. He really is.
I hope someone that screen recorded this.
No, he is. He's doing a phenomenal job.
And I read an article only earlier on.
I have to like him.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'll always over the last 4 or 5 years, I wouldn't be the first one to say it, but I'd always give Liverpool credit. Liverpool have been amazing to watch. Not that I like watching them, but the football that they've played under Klopp and stuff, and I'd always give him credit for that. Arteta is the same, you know what I mean? He's doing something really, really good. And if it doesn't end with a Premier League title at the end of the season, it's going to be one big opportunity missed.
It really is. It will. I put my neck on the line last week, and I said I think that Arsenal will go on to win the Premier League, and I would personally like to see Arsenal go on to win the Premier League. Something different. It's great for football. The strength of the Premier League now just shows how the Premier League is the biggest league in the world. You've there Arsenal, City, Man United, Tottenham, top 4 at the minute. I still think Liverpool will finish top 4, and I hope Liverpool finish top 4 before the end of the season. Manchester United, I think, are a shoe-in at the minute for top 4, especially with the fixtures coming up, once they just bounce back. And once you start see the Europa League and things like this kind of not coming in too much. Yeah, like just too much. You have a lot of games coming up. I was looking at your fixture list. You have FA Cup and all as well. You're still fighting on all fronts. A lot of games coming up. But as we spoke, like not on air, off air last week when we were voice noting or chatting, the likes of Chelsea, Newcastle, Liverpool, Tottenham, they're all only going to be stronger next season. So this is a massive opportunity for Arsenal.
Yeah, like if Arsenal don't win the league this year, they could easily go another 10 years without winning it. Yeah.
Like
that might be a bit of an over exaggeration.
No, but I know it could. You're only saying like it could. You're not saying they would. You're saying they could, which they could. Like anything could happen, you know. Like the Premier League is so unpredictable. Look at West Ham, for instance, the few seasons they've had over the last few years. They're in Europe and all, and now they're down battling relegation. They're down amongst the mix down there. Newcastle 4 weeks ago were right in the mix up there. Now you're wondering, will Newcastle? I'd be wondering myself anyway. I wouldn't think Newcastle will even make Champions League now.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. They're after kind of dying off. They kind of rode the crest of that wave there for a while, and now they're still a fantastic side, but.
We kind of expected it as well, though, didn't we, really?
Yeah, well, you expected that, to be fair, big time with Arsenal. And we kind of may have expected it might have dropped off a bit, but they kind of did hit that blip. And Arsenal's fixtures, their next fixtures, they're kind enough to them too. They have Fulham, Palace, Leeds, Liverpool, which is a big one, and West Ham. I suppose the only way when you look at these London clubs, Arsenal have Fulham, Palace, West Ham in their next 5 games. There's 3 out of your next 5 games are London derbies.
Yeah.
So just going to put that extra bit of bite to it. But as I said,
I think it's going to come down to the City Arsenal game. I think if Arsenal beat City, I think they'll win the league.
Yeah, it may. Look, Arsenal could be more. It could be more of a tendency that Arsenal may have a slip up, than City. But as you see, Arsenal, they're grinding out them wins. They're fighting till the very end. They're grinding out that win last week. They grinded out the win 2 weeks ago. So I think up until this point, it's just credit where credit's due. I was reading an article earlier on that Granit Xhaka was given so much credit and praise to Mikel Arteta. Said he's changed things since he come into the club. They said he changed the whole canteen, like the food, the layout. He said all players' body fat is down. Not like they would have been pro athletes before that, so their body fat would have been a very low percentage. But he said he's after even getting it down lower. He just couldn't really put into words how good and how tight-knit of a bond they were and how good they're feeling.
Yeah.
It just seems to be kind of a great place to be at the minute. Now, that can all turn very quickly, but...
Yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely. They're riding the crest of a wave. I think, and Arsenal for Life here says it. He says, my only concern is if Partey gets injured. He's our most important player. But yeah, I mean, we've seen even that already. I mean, I think he's got injured already this season, and they dealt quite well without him. But I won't say quite.
Like they also have Jesus. I'm sure he's coming back soon there, and Partey is a massive player that's kind of going under the radar. I don't mean under the radar, but he doesn't get the praise that some of the lads like Casemiro and these do. And like maybe that's because Casemiro had such an impact when he came in. But Partey is doing a phenomenal job there. My favourite Arsenal player at the minute is Odegaard. He's an absolute baller.
He's absolute
baller.
Yeah, he is, in fairness.
And Zinchenko has really come to life of late as well.
Yeah, he brings that kind of passion to him, doesn't he?
He does. He does bring that passion. Even that young lad, what was the kid's name that came on and scored the other day? He assisted one and scored the winner, Reece.
Reece Nelson, is it?
Reece Nelson, yeah, Reece Nelson. That's the second time. He's done that earlier on in the season too. Yeah. So some of these go through. It's like Arsenal of old, kind of bringing through some of the young lads, the kids. Good to see. I think it can only be good for English football if Arsenal go on to win it, or someone other than Man City. Like Man City are just such a boring, bland team. Maybe not boring, but they just really bought their success, didn't they, Dave?
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of, I think it's the fact that they've been so strong for so long in the Premier League. And look, I'm sure non-United fans, who have been around long enough will say the same about United when we went through that kind of them phases. But yeah, they've kind of monopolized the Premier League really more than that in terms of winning it. But I do agree with you. It's good to see other teams up there fighting for it, and I don't know, kind of creating different opportunities, But I think next season, if teams improve the way we think they might improve in the summer, I think next season could be a really, really, really exciting one.
The Premier League is fast becoming, and it already is the best league in the world, but fast becoming the most exciting league in the world. Like them Italian teams are a graveyard for lots of players. Like, some kind of like has-beens that leave Man United and leave Liverpool, and they might have had okay careers there, but they're going on big money. Yeah, they're going on big monies to your Romas, to your AC Milans, Inter Milans. They're like, Then you could go to Germany, which is a great league for breeding youth and all, but you're really going to Bayern Munich if you're going there.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I
have
mean,
other teams. They're after doing 9 in a
why.
row. Is it leagues?
Yeah, and that's why we're seeing the re-emergence of the Super League, really, isn't it? Because
Yeah, like
these other
is
leagues
there
just can't keep up with the Premier League.
is there much point in a lot of players that tend to go back to the French league from the Premier League are kind of French players themselves that are kind of getting
Yeah.
that bit older,
Yeah.
unless they're going big money move to PSG. But your PSG could win the League One or League One,
Yeah.
and their manager could still get sacked if that's all he
Yeah.
wins. So that
Exactly.
just kind of shows,
Pochettino, for example.
yeah, so that kind of shows what that is. But like the Premier League is just getting bigger, getting stronger. As I said, Newcastle and that are only going to improve, and they've done well this year, but they're going to buy in the summer. I was reading on the paper during the week that Chelsea have another war chest for the summer. I don't even know if that's a good thing for them, but it said they're ready to splash again in the summer.
I heard reports of Neymar to Chelsea.
Yeah, like, yeah, what a player that would be for the Premier. I personally love to see Neymar in the Premier League.
Yeah, I'd love to see
He's
him get
past his
kicked up and
best,
down.
I'd say. He's past his best, I'd say. But I just would love to see all the best players in the world come to the Premier League.
Yeah,
That's the league you watch. That's the league you watch match a
Absolutely.
day every Saturday night. These are the leagues you want to.
Yeah,
You wanna see
absolutely.
players
Right, let's
come
move it on. We're going to talk about Spurs finally, and obviously they had another disappointing weekend, and the Spurs just seem to do a Spurs on it every year. So they're now only 3 points behind. 3 points ahead of Liverpool in fourth position, but Liverpool do have a game in hand on them. And Newcastle are, Newcastle are 4 points behind them, and they've got 2 games in hand on them. So Spurs, and we talked about it last week, were they actually doing better without Conte in the dugout?
Yeah, after you said that, they had 2 terrible losses.
They did.
Terrible losses.
Yeah, but Conte is back now for the Champions League game this week, which is, typical, of course. He gets all the bum, smelly games to the assistant manager while he's lying in the sun, and comes back for the Champions League games. But look, I don't know what you think. I don't think Spurs are getting top 4. Not a hope.
No, and I don't want to see Spurs getting top 4. I like Spurs are a club I don't really have a whole lot of time for. I know it was only Gabby Lahore, maybe that said it, or maybe no, Jamie O'Hara actually said it, TalkSport, Trash Sport, but he said anyway, he goes, the best thing about Spurs and their new stadium is that I can hold Beyonce concerts. It's like but like they've big affiliation with the NFL. Like, it's a club that's run as a business. This is something you spoke about last week. You want businessmen to run the business side of things, sports people to run the sports side of things.
Yeah.
This is being run as a business and as everything is run like a business, because a football team isn't going to be sustainable if it's just losing money, unless you have the endless oil money coming through.
Yeah.
And credit to Spurs, they're able to build their new stadium. They're not like, they're still, I don't know what you say, fighting up around the top, but they're still being mentioned in Champions League.
They're part of the top 6, you would say.
Yeah, they are, to be fair, part of the top 6, but Son has been on horrendous form. I don't know what that's about, but like, you take Son and Kane out of that team, they are bang average. Average.
Well, let's move on to Kane then. Is Kane going to leave Spurs in the summer?
I 100% think Kane has to. It's different. There's a lot. It's great to see a one club man and all this, and I know he was out on loan and all when he was younger, but and he was an Arsenal youth or whatever like this, but like Kane has dedicated the best part of his football years to Tottenham, and it's great to see that in football. And you see the likes of Gerrard, who did this with Liverpool, and it was great, and he turned down big money offers, but Gerrard won everything with Liverpool bar the Premier League. Yeah, it was unfortunate he didn't win that, but like, what's Kane going to have achieved at Arsenal or at Tottenham, being Tottenham's all-time goal scorer, which is a great achievement in itself.
Yeah.
But like, he has no trophies to back it up. Like,
yeah,
it's just something that, like, if he went to United, like, he would add so much to Manchester United. He, like, massive club.
Do you think United? Do you think I've heard a couple of pundits say if Kane goes to United, United are instantly challenging.
Instantly, I think. Instantly. But if Kane goes to Manchester United, which I think you could get Kane this year for 80 million. He only has a
Yeah.
year left on his contract at the end of that, and 70, 80 million. And I paid for him because someone will pay it for him. I think Kane would probably like to go to United the most. Like, look, Man City aren't going to sign Kane. I don't think Liverpool would have any intentions of signing Kane. Chelsea would probably try and sign Kane. Kane wouldn't even dream of going to Arsenal. I think Manchester United is a destiny for him. And I do think that he would be once kept fit. And this year he's played a lot of games. He hasn't had
Yeah.
many niggles. I just think
I think it's a bit of a myth that Harry Kane is injury prone. If he was injury prone, he wouldn't have the goals he has.
no, yeah, but no, it's just like coming up to the World Cup and the Euros, the time he had injuries. Remember, he mightn't have played the first few games. There was talk about, I don't think it's injuries like long term, like serious Achilles or things like this, but it might be niggly hamstrings or calves that's keeping him out. When you're a high end athlete like that, it's keeping you out for 3-4 games at a time, which
Yeah.
it's just so much more effective to Tottenham because they never really had a world-class backup striker, because anyone they were going to sign always knew Spurs play one up top and I'm going to be second fiddle to Kane.
Mm.
Like I'd say Richarlison already wants out, even though he knew the situation he was coming into.
Yeah, well,
But
maybe he might also say Kane will be gone in the summer.
yeah, would you like Kane? Would you like Kane at Manchester United?
I would love Harry Kane at United.
Yeah, I think he would
there-
say. I think he would also suit the Manchester United style, but I think Kane would suit most team style, because if you have a Kane in your team, you build a style around Kane. He's a
Yeah, well,
finisher. He's not. He doesn't have blistering pace, but he's not slow like in
no, and
around the
I think
box.
you're saying they're building building a system around Kane. I think Kane is the ideal center, is the ideal number 9 for Ten Hag's system. He can play as that number 10. Or
Yeah,
sorry, not number 10. He can play as the number 9. He can play as a false 9, nearly as a
false nine.
number
Yeah,
10 as well, dropping
he's
out into the
but he's a
midfield.
big. He's big. He's
He's
strong.
strong. He
He
can
knows
hold
where
up
the
the
goal
ball.
is. He's like, I know, a poor man's Kane in Weghorst. I know Weghorst is a lot taller than him. They're not all similar styles, but Weghorst is a stopgap. And in my opinion, for someone like Kane to come through, if you had them balls coming in, you don't need to be crossing in big high balls to break it down or anything. Kane can finish from anywhere
And
in around that
the
box
one thing
or
I would
outside that
say,
box.
yeah, and the one thing I would say, Ricey, if you were managing Manchester United at the moment, right, and you were saying, do I go with a Kane and give him, obviously it would be a shorter term solution if you were to go for an Osman, for example, who's obviously tearing it up in Italy as well. Do you go with an Osman and you have him for 10 years, or do
I
you
think
go with
I think
guaranteed
Casemiro
goals
answered
in
that
Kane?
question for you. I
Yeah.
think Casemiro has answered that question for you.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not. But it's not the age part that I'm talking about. It's the fact that Kane will guarantee you Premier League goals.
Yeah.
You're not guaranteed Premier League goals with Osman because he's never played in the Premier League. So I think for that reason alone, I would go with Kane. And
I
give him
would
his
go with Kane for United over anybody. I think he should be your
Yeah,
number one target.
yeah,
Like, he should be your number one target. Your numbers on goals are below everybody else. As I said, like Brighton have scored 2 more goals than you, and they've conceded more at the other end due to last weekend. But like Brighton are outscoring you. I know Brighton are going very well now, but you're Manchester United. I know you like splashed a bit of cash in that end of that side of the table, or that side of the pitch, in the last 2 years, just between the likes of Anthony's and your Sanchos and that. But
yeah. But it goes back to we're just overly reliant on Rashford and his goals, really, isn't it? And
yeah,
we just
but
need someone to come in and take the pressure off.
I think, and he's English and all, I think he'd be a hit like the likes of Sancho. I think Kane could get the best out of the likes of your Sanchos, Rashfords. There's all that
Yeah.
English connection there. He'd be like, they already look up to him as a captain, as a leader for England and with the England squad. I think it's an absolute no-brainer to go all out for Kane. And I think Kane would move this summer.
Yeah, yeah. Right, will we leave it there?
Yeah, you can do your whale of the week.
Oh, whale of the week. Yeah, right. Whale of the week. Go on, you go first. Who's your whale of the week?
Bruno. Yeah, just Bruno and his general antics. Just the demeanour and everything of him, What's yours?
Graham Souness. Yeah.
Quick explanation. I seen something about, I was flicking through TikTok. I seen these kind of...
So he was on Sky Sports on Sunday for the game, and he predicted an easy, comfortable win for Liverpool, and he got it right. And you want to see the fucking smug head on him.
Yeah.
After the game, sitting beside Jamie Carragher, and he's just smiling. And he turned around to Carragher at one stage while he was being asked a question in the middle of the Sky studio, while he's live in front of millions of people. And he went to Jamie, he went, I don't know where the recliner is on this chair. I can't get it back far enough. I'm so relaxed. I went, you fucking tosser. So yeah, he's my well of the week.
Yeah. Sure. Look, it's, it's a great thing for them to shout about. It's a great thing. Like, if the shoe was on the other foot, they'd be having the same argument as you, but we're still ahead of you there. There was one fella on the bus yesterday, and he got absolutely ripped asunder when they were going 6-7-0 down. He pulled out his phone and he tried to show the boys the league table. We're still ahead of you. They ripped him a new one.
Rookie mistake.
They weren't having any of it. They were like, this is their day. This is their few days.
Yeah, that's it. Let me enjoy it. Let me enjoy it. I mean, they've won the We Bet United Cup, so they can have it.
It's probably worth as much as the Carabao Cup.
And the Bangkok Century Trophy. But anyway, look, we leave it there, Ricey. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on again. Thanks everyone for listening as well, guys. If you haven't already done so, please give us a thumbs up. And if you're listening back at any stage on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please do give us a 5-star review as well. I'll be back on Thursday night for Manchester United versus Real Betis on YouTube for the live watch along. So make sure you're checking that out as well. United Community Channel on all social medias as well. But thanks for listening. See you next week.